Whether you're taking part in the 94.7 Cycle Challenge this weekend or just a cycling enthusiast looking to up your game, experienced cyclist Sean Badenhorst is here with great tips.
Sean, I know that there's a lot of different formats of cycling out there. Give us a brief overview of what we can find.
Well, you get BMX riding and racing, then you have track cycling, road cycling, mountain biking, and then there's some weird sort of offshoots like sort of trick cycling and football, soccer cycling, stuff like that.
Now this weekend, Joburg's biggest cycling race kicking off. What advice can you give in terms of guys rocking up at the cycling event with maybe one shoe or forgot their helmet at home?
Obviously prepare properly the day before. Make sure that you've laid out all your kit the night before even. Often people forget a spare tube or something like that, and it's useful to be able to have that when you get to the start line. Your bike should be serviced at least a week before. The bike shops get crowded, and best to get it in as early as possible.
Any specific things that you need to check on your bike that people maybe tend to forget about sometimes?
Often people will find that their brakes might be touching the rim, and you get to the end of the race and that's highly frustrating because you think, well, I wonder how fast I could have gone if my brake wasn't touching my rim. So make sure those are centered. It's quite easy. If you're not sure, ask your bike shop to show you.
Sean is a sports journalist specializing in cycling. He covered the Olympic cycling events and is a big mountain bike enthusiast, competing as often as he can while promoting road safety at all times.
Another important element is safe riding. You want to make sure that you complete the ride safely. What advice can you give?
The key element really is to not ever look back, because you need to only worry about what's happening in front of you. If you look back, you're likely to come down. So rather don't look back. What's behind you is behind you. It can't affect you, so just face the front.
In terms of supplementation, what advice can you give to get athletes to complete the race successfully?
Supplementation is extremely important. If you're going into a race underprepared, whether it's not being used to the distance or the intensity, there's going to be some element of surprise and your muscles are going to at some point shout and protest. So good pre-race carb drink, during race energy drink, and afterwards a recovery drink.
Is there anything that you like to use personally?
Well, I like to also phosphate load, which is sort of all your essential minerals, so that to minimize the chances of cramping during a race. So there's products like Cramp Block, which definitely help there.
Apart from upping your muscles' glycogen stores to prevent cramps, it's important to stay adequately hydrated and train at the right intensity when preparing for the big event.
Gareth, Sean mentioned phosphate loading. Exactly what is that?
It's your basic essential electrolytes and minerals that's required for optimal nerve to muscle function. So basically you'd start the loading phase at least 10 days before you take your long ride, basically. What that's going to do is ensure that you've got enough glycogen retention in the muscle mass, you've got enough water in the muscle mass, which is important for how the nerve functions. That way you significantly reduce your chances of cramping, but you also improve your muscle tissue function.
How different is that to carbo loading?
It's very different. Phosphates are micronutrients, so they're the minerals that your system requires to maintain homeostasis and improve how your muscle tissue functions. But carbohydrates is a macronutrient, so that's actually an energy source.
How important is it to carbo load though before this weekend?
Very, very important. You should start at least 5 days before the event. So now you're getting towards the end of your optimal dosage period, so start sooner rather than later. What that's really going to do is make sure that you retain as much of the energy that you can. So yes, you are going to gain weight, because with every gram of carb you pull in, you're going to pull in 3 grams of water into the muscle cell. So you will be slightly heavier, but during the ride you're obviously going to sweat it out, so you're going to lose some water, you're going to utilize the carbohydrates as that energy source, so you're going to end up a lot lighter after the race.
And in terms of supplementation, what endurance supplements can you recommend to guys cycling this weekend?
And there's 3 things you need to look at. You need to look at a pre-event, an intra-event and post-workout. So definitely now start with your enduro carbs. Get those phosphates and get that electrolytes and get those carbohydrates into the system earlier, so that your body can get used to how much energy it's going to load. During your rides, especially now when you start tapering off towards, with your training rides, start with a Cyto Power HP. Make sure your system is used to taking in carbohydrates while there's a high energy demand on it. And then post-workout, make sure you take your Recover Max. It's very, very important that your muscle tissue, as well as your energy system, is well recovered after your ride to make sure the next day you can perform properly.
Come to the event well prepared with the right level of fitness, otherwise you increase the risk of injury. Supplementation's not a crutch to pull you through. It works best for those who maintain a disciplined and healthy lifestyle.
Sean, just to conclude what we've been talking about, what advice can you give to people cycling this weekend?
Remember what your start time is and make sure that you allow enough time to get there. There's a lot of congestion. If you're not too far from the start venue, maybe ride there and use that as your warm-up. and enjoy the fact that the roads are completely closed to motorized traffic for a whole day, and it's just all about you.
Tune in tomorrow to meet other cyclists. In the meantime, catch great tips for reaching your fitness goals on usn.co.za.